Welcome back, everybody. This is Mr. McCreary for Understanding Sociology, and we are still in Chapter 3. In fact, we are in the process of wrapping up Section 3 of the chapter, which is dealing with the concept of social change. The last video series talked about the various sources of social change, and that is a big part of the third section of the chapter. And we listed these 6 things that can impact a society and force it to undergo some changes. We talked about changes in values and beliefs, and we talked even more specifically about changes in technology. Today's video is going to deal more specifically in how demographics or changes in demographics can change society, as well as the concept of globalization. So let's get started. When it comes to demographics, you want to think things having to do with the population. So there's many different things that can impact a society's demographics. So for example, what is the overall birth rate of the society? Is the birth rate increasing or is it decreasing? And certainly that's going to impact the population rate. And certainly a society that is drastically increasing in terms of population is going to undergo some very different changes than if the society is undergoing a drastic decrease in the population. So sociologists would want to study things like the birth rate, and not just the birth rate of society, but the birth rate of the various subgroups within society, because as we'll see, that can have ramifications as well. They might also look at population shifts, not only the birth rate in terms of the total population, but where those people are actually living, and is there any type of shifts that are happening within the country. So for example, I saw some stats where a majority of people in America now live within 2 hours of the coast, which of course is going to cause possibly some challenges. If you look at hurricanes and the strength of hurricanes, certainly the damage is going to increase in terms of the financial cost if you have more people living near the coast and therefore are more susceptible to damage during some type of a hurricane. We're also seeing shifts of people moving in America towards the south and the southwest. And that's consistent with our population becoming older because in many cases it's not too uncommon for elderly people when they are retired to move to the warmer climates. And as our population is getting older with the baby boom generation retiring, we're seeing more and more people move to those parts of the country. So this can have political ramifications as well as many other ramifications when you have significant shifts of population within a country. I mentioned before about birth rates, and not just the overall birth rate of a society, but the various subcultures within, and also the population shifts of those subcultures. We certainly have many different subgroups based on ethnicity and race and religion and so forth, and every group out there tends to have a different birth rate for a variety of cultural reasons, and that can certainly impact a society's demographics. Immigration certainly is going to impact demographics. Who is coming to this country? How are they getting here? Where are they coming from? All those things can play a factor. Even though immigration really isn't too much of a concern for America, we don't have too many people leaving America. Many other countries do deal with a significant amount of people leaving their country as opposed to the United States, who tends to have the challenge of people who want to come to the United States. So therefore, a lot of changes in a society's demographics can force a society to undergo some various forms of social change. Another thing is a chart here showing about the average ages in America. You can see, based on this chart here, different subgroups within the United States have a different average age. And that can have ramifications too. This has a lot to do with the various birth rate. If different ethnicities have a higher birth rate, then their population is growing compared to some of the other subcultures, and that is why many experts in the area of demographics have predicted that by mid-century, whites in America will actually be the minority, and that is because of the different birth rates among the various groups, as well as who is coming to America in terms of immigration. And of course, our society will undergo some natural changes because of those shifts in terms of the population, birth rates, and the various changes in the subgroups. The next topic is globalization, and here's kind of the fancy definition for globalization. Globalization, as it says here, is the cultural expressions and practices that cross national borders and have an effect on the traditions and customs of the societies exposed to them. So the easiest way to look at globalization is to take a look at a world map. Prior to the technological age and all these advances in transportation and communication, people and therefore their ideas, beliefs, values, and so forth were pretty much locked in because of the natural borders that people had to live under. So, for example, the United States is bordered or surrounded by two major oceans. And so that prevented a lot of people from getting to America, and certainly that prevented a lot of people from going from America to other places around the world very easily. But as transportation improved, as the internet came along and communication exploded, certainly ideas, beliefs, and other aspects of people's culture now can be spread very rapidly around the world. We're no longer locked into our current borders. You can pick up your phone and you can call someone halfway around the world and begin to talk to them within seconds. And so the sharing of ideas becomes much more able to be done simply because there really aren't any borders anymore when it comes to communication and even cases of transportation. Now, of course, that can create some challenges because not everybody is happy with other cultures spreading to their part of the world. That is one reason why the United States tends to have problems with countries, particularly in the Middle East, because the people in the Middle East see America and our culture as spreading too much into their part of the world, and they do not like that culture. They would rather stick to their own culture, and that happens quite a bit with a lot of countries around the world. There's always going to be challenges with regard to the acceptance or the rejection of some other people's culture. The point that we're making here is that in a global society, the spreading of culture becomes much easier, but that doesn't mean it's all good. There certainly are some negative ramifications of that as well.